Okay. So welcome everyone to another Tuesdays is welcome everyone to a re-recording of Tuesdays for the poetry. This is because the previous recording was cut short from a storm that came through last week. We've been having a lot of summer thunderstorms, riding on the coattails of wildfire smoke from Canada. Um, So I thought I'd just take an opportunity to do a re-recording and have this this daytime version of Tuesdays for the poetry. I wasn't able to get through all the poems from 2014 last time, so here we are um, recording my poems from the age of 28 to 29, mainly uh, written in New York City, which was a new city for myself and my partner Gillian. Um, oh yes, so last time I showed the oh the very special gift that Gillian had created for me, which was a manuscript version with illustrations of Hugh Melody and other voices. Poems from the reading today will include those from Humility and Other Voices. And Humility and Other Voices is now called Humility and Other Poems. And I have been shopping this manuscript around to a number of different presses. Not many of the poems in the manuscript have been published elsewhere. I also don't hold an MFA, so that always decreases your chances. But I just wanted to show some of the amazing and beautiful illustrations that Gillian included uh, in this version. There were four sections originally. Mild, rude. That's one of the sections. Um, Here's a mountaintop to the poem. Greek sense, maybe like kind of like Mount Olympus or Mount Athos, and intentions. There's another opener to a section. We also have, see, we got Joan of Arc here. We'll hear this poem, a hagiography, and we'll also hear fragments of pre-Socratics. There's illustration of truth. So Gillian did a beautiful job on the illustrations. So I can only do them justice somewhat from my recitations today. So here we go. The re-recording of Tuesdays for the Poetry. The next Tuesdays for the Poetry will be, of course, on Tuesday, July 4th, Independence Day. So you'll likely hear some background while I am recording. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So first one is called Coins of Attention. Coins of Attention. Bamboozled, a long bloody drool of undead, not so much living as existing oblivion's emergent kin. And maybe Romero had something, merchandise like a panacea staunches our fear of decay, only to smother the joy we take in choosing by blowing them all away. Beetled, so much that it muddles the head, human potential polluted, and yet Hare Krishna lives. Coins of attention overinflated. Stale wind of words sung in the subway station. For the laying down Christianities like dump bound sidewalk Xmas trees. Googled your answer to everything I said. Not enough photos, so I searched further. every matter a smudge on the cell phone lens, mummified silence pending the edits, our fascination, the means, and the end. So we had some references to Hari Krishna's, to George Romero's classic film Night of the Living Dead from 1968, um, thrown out Christmas trees as they find themselves on the side of the road. A lot of my poetry has got the 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 evidence of my reading in them. So here's some more evidence of my reading. William Blake, I believe I have cited before as a huge influence on my writing poems, and this next collection of poems actually is called Proverbs of Earth and Moon. So Proverbs of Heaven and Hell is what I'm referencing here. So I have some that are crossed out, but we'll read through them all. I won't tell you which ones I've sort of selected for the manuscript, but here we go. Bowling alleys are built between the glory of man and machine. Leisure is typified by this, boring holes and aesthetic bliss. Once we've done away with language, civility will seem what savage. A light bulb is the shadow's ruse to seem less dense and more diffuse. The poet who seeks her audience drives without poetic license. If Edie, Freud, or Mesmer heals, energy is what our sleep conceals. When reality is but brain stress, sensibilities are justly nonsense. Ghosts are they whose haunting woes bore the chains of half-made souls. Babies born at Woodstock know that vision dies where visuals grow. Ego, the sycophant unto itself, ergo, your best gibbling and worst guelph. The grass, the grass shod on with the shoe, the snake greedily slithers through. Find any mark of pretension here? I'll give you a real Bronx cheer. Technology is ubiquitous to satisfy the inventor's ends it cannot ratify. Semen, grass, and a heather pram is all one needs to make a lamb. Blast. A particle is and is not a wave. It seems the only constant is to misbehave. Clocks are the windows of time with hands facing us like a mime. If there were no word for imagination, spontaneous generation. Work grafts onto spaded hearts, the yield of fruit from abandoned arts. Okay, next we have a poem written in March 2014 called Gritty March. Gritty March. Gesundheit! The cusp of spring, caked against the antihistamine. Sound expels through your sinus cavity as clack upon clack go concrete slabs under skateboarding. Ollie's a barrel of whatever. But these mannerists wouldn't crack an egg. Pinhole poke and blow maybe till red in the face, like with allergies. Your poor noses are stuffed, as a man, as a bunny, suited up. Hay fever? Booked us, moreover. Easter approaches, and the bits we sweep off the basement stacks are the osseous ashes of penance. Mark down the new titles, indiscriminate, of the vitriol or the vital. And here comes humidity. Blooms on trees, out the pores, sizable clusters above sweating, sweet things. Maypole dancers and kids on decks. Carousal, carousel, pagans, sneezing color, and skaters snapping wood. Oh, all done with my coffee there. Time to switch to my Gatorade. All right. Short short poem here. The round human mind, shy cavern of weather, or Jupiter's red storm. That one was a haiku. The next are some shorter poems. First one called Prayer. This one's definitely in the manuscript. Prayer. Pray mostly in restrooms. Kneel on the tile if it's dry, after emptying myself of anything else. Dear Heavenly, leave off the address actually. Label it Return to Sender, after thanks, to give endlessness a bearing. Unionized is the next poem. The Gritty March uh, references my job at Strand Books. I worked at Strand Books for 3 years while I lived in New York City and in the East Village, and it was my second job that was a union job, and my first one in which I was able to see the process of contract negotiations, which was very enlightening and helped inform me about um, just the whole union process. So, unionized. Throw up your hands. Oh, they're uncuffed? Well, your freedom to demand unwebbed, spindly fingers. Why X matters for one or for many, like a dray of squirrels, both saving and munching. And this other short one here we have place setting. We sit to meet, rise to part. Okay, and here we have Greek sense. I showed you that image that Gillian watercolored of a mountain, and this has much to do with, I think, this sort of struggle between honoring and continuing to read and explore old ideas and and uphold and fight for new ones. Greek sense. What is psychic in the blood? Greek sense, not new aged opulence that chews over words like cud, not the bridled horse of ancestry nor the sacrificial wringing out of sin, but the substance incumbent of soul and possibly more that we don't know. Set aside vampirism, ultra gore, some manner of laboratory work or splatter at the scene of a crime. Reference your quick fright at the sudden sight of a church mouse, like mounted palpitations atop promontory flesh or in a peace talk. I don't know. Answer with an ancient chant, suffered by the drinking bout, our scope askance and spiriting, the outer space of much debris. But this pneuma from gut to bone, well, out with it. What is known? Wait. 2 fingers below the ear. No perpetuities of force of gears. Next, we have a poem called Figment. Frequently revisiting the same nerve, your left, my right, rings of a throaty lost telephone, narrative, inkling, chords from the elbow to the stretch over knuckle buttes, complete digits, a function for the rickety typing, not to answer who is dead, to tiny bones boxed in, devotion's now a twitch, sympathetic nervousness. Figment I sometimes become and eyes unmemorable. Sight, a lingering fog, clear for a few steps, then recalibrate, peter out behind the glass, not through any eye, just is or isn't blind. Two more shorter poems here. One is called Proposal. None other, I declare it, affirming as negating, with words the wordless undertone, of ever before, another lovely. Sweetheart, make sermons profane. Friends and family, strangers, afford this river crossing from one life to the next. So their poem has an alternate title. It's labeled Progress, but I also have in my um, notebook here Neanderthal instead of Neanderthal. You'll see why. My den tribal mates, look what the human do. See what it makes, pasting with glue. Salt thrown over their left shoulders onto a tin can of flowers for the women of Trachis blue. Oh, here we go. Now we have something from July 2014, and it is the very poem that has inspired this weekly YouTube live Tuesdays for the poetry. And it's a poem called Tuesday. And the story behind it is working at Strand Books. I noticed that on the first floor, it seemed that there were a lot more people that looked at the poetry. I felt like there was this association. Also, maybe there's this joke in there from Seinfeld when Newman says they're talking about uh, days of the week, and he says Tuesday has no feel, and so I am attempting to let Tuesday have a feel. Tuesday could be for the poetry. Let's give it a feel. So here's Tuesday. Tuesdays for the poetry. They come in to ask after the moon having passed over, pensive perambulating night before. Generosity always my feature. Probably whispering sowers in line on screen by tongue fed the criterial seed that generals their chief intellects need. Demerit for naivete. Hands raised to shelf spines, often enough with genitals in mind, and erotica is stacked so near that poetry comes right behind. Sometimes a few rovers clamber up to you for Whitman's amber verse or Bukowski's beer body work, who were led by inner drives to seek the images human and divine. Most weeks, Tuesday's one of six siblings, palms turning over titles, listless plodding about, unable to decide or enabled by short cues, toward light bumps of life that rise a reader high and weed my prescience out. So next we have a hagiography. So this is the poem that features Joan of Arc, and it's remembering there's a circle in with a Joan of Arc statue that is near a Catholic school in Portland, Oregon, and just thinking about her. And I don't know why Joan of Arc has been this figure for me. Maybe because of Leonard Cohen. Maybe because of um, the Jean-Luc Godard film "My Life to Live" with um, Anna Karenina. So yeah, I'm not sure, but here we go. Hagiography. Roundabout, the gold leaf Joan of Arc, with horse and standard on a block, shining in the noonday sun, is carbonized by emissions. Cistercian reserve, wide circumference of saintliness, with no sainthood to cover or crosswalk to reach her verge from All Saints schoolyard. Two more short ones here. Struggle. Misunderstanding not the bride to be, you wish to receive by the hand of antinomy. Dancing. The caduceus sheds the paradox. We bask, bear, believe in the struggle we so cleave to. Interruption. This one's a World War One poem. There's a number of World War One poems thinking about the centennial of the Great War when I was writing a lot of these poems included in Humility. London planes flying, branch divisions above, we lay our vessels down on their backs, a little shove. Diurnal, so sleep turns us over. Field mice and fireflies, garbed in twilight eternal, but summer falls silent, cries. Highfalutin, pish posh to posterity. The talismans come round. We grasp the now, the evident, this clarity we've all found. Roll a little somnambulance to ward off your ignorance. Seems a little out of date. Upgrade at the going rate. Sure, I've got a peckish twitch, compulsions hiss in ear. I know a lot more than I could have even cared. Shit, it's a broken link. No webmaster to remedy, so you fidget in seat while malwares advance like maggots through a scrim. Driving hard now, all under thumb, tired of things come undone. Make it a game. Perchance Animus won't make a fuss. Hollow diction's a real bitch to kick when you cow-eyed, knock-kneed gazing gives you the distant fix of a Laplacian demon. Spinning spells we all fall down on the heels of reverie, but pitch post to posterity, to potsherds, and to ashes. Lot to unpack in that one, but it is what it is. Next is A Ways from a Prelude. This is a poem that has to do with a relationship between human beings and their space travel, their space exploration, um, asking questions about what exactly are we bringing up ourselves up and out there. A Ways from a Prelude, and the first line, just before I start, tremendous was the word that of the first astronauts, such as Alan Shepard um, and others, said out loud when they saw the Earth from that height, and that's all they had to them. Just tremendous. That was the word. Tremendous word that imbues the body with earth, uttered out over the blue from capsule mission crews by their precious little oxygen on the breath of every rocket man. Sixth grade in my mock suit, tissue thin, still, and listening to Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik. Allegro on Dante, again and again we enact a living wax museum, a ways from a prelude to taboo buzzer I'm orbiting. Endeavor's panel is lit, flipped. Then I transmit back to Houston. From this height, I could glean these flood clouds of their lips and plant kiss a parched land green. Unsure what I truly voice, still collecting data, my own choice to give testimony on first Sundays, scouting, and scripture study, moot. In dew of speckled nights, my silence held the sound of those lights. But no song then, side reel message rather writ and scripted, so kid astronaut can be graded. Horrid at maths, but for geometry, outer space ordered inwardly, and there I quaked of me. The poem's seen a lot of change since this recorded version, but that's okay. That's part of the Tuesdays for the Poetry experience is that you're getting original drafts. So some of these poems they've had edits and have changed. Pastoral. Sitting on the John with Epistle 3. Not what you auto link, but much that I would not write with paper and ink. Material constraint? No. Inexpressible topoi. Deeds over words, sheaved wheat for the back of a Tolstoy. Schliemann at Mycenae, as a man on the moon, rolling a barrow of debris with his Baedeker in tow. Artful archaeology, the archaeon little more than a golden mask over the question of man. Heinrich Schliemann, using the Odyssey, the poem by Homer, to find Hisarlik, which was already well known, but he was able to identify it as the site of the ancient city of Troy, thereby making something mythical real and known. Just had something that I erased there. There we go. This is the second of a sequence called The Film Based on the Best-Selling Book. I believe on a previous uh, Tuesdays for the Poetry, I started out with it. And so this one's called Reader's Digestion. And it's a bit about going to the movies. I often tell my students, that when we watch movies in class, it's not that we're, watching passively, but that we're um, watching actively, and that reading is something that you can even do um, with film, which they find quite amusing. Um, so this is called Reader's Digestion. A critical opinion, screwy, scrimped, saccharine, hand to word of mouth fed, but much too hard to swallow. Then bloody go flossed gums so ragged and red. Enough corn syrup. Well, enough nourished, and then by strips of comics and the obits as any lobby snack your tongue plows out of toothy rows. In the illuminated rooms, no energy, educated anger blooms, but with much alternating. It makes for a heavy spleen, and the fire of lightning is our lackey. Go buy a pack of cigarettes. Verify the use of them. Burning is a leafing through the rhythm and the amplitude of fate on foot carousing about. So, what did you think of it? The book belies opinion. But while spectators exit the movie house, a voice remorses, their belly rumbling, and another looks up, full of sighing. Okay, so we have some more short poems here, as well as our 500th poem. We've gotten through 500 poems on Tuesdays for the Poetry. Pastoral 2. Foregone conclusion are terms of existence. Suffering to no end. One free admittance. Hell of a show. Harled. A long burden behind you with a plow ahead for Burns and I to discover the mouse anew. Golden rule. Objectivity, objectively, not a brand on the backside of the livestock humanity or prions in the brain. The appendix we elect for extraction. Self as other, other as self. A principle, yes, like a master. Crown. Where did all the caps go atop the heads of short and tall? Must have lost the hefty bet we'd had to eat them all. My wee millennial youth bed old babies down in the pram pits of abortion. No hats, no chance of acting the clown. And here's poem 500 called Recital. Advance a vestigial theory of consciousness, a dew claw, a cynic remnant program that sires a kind of egress. Bleed out, bend the refrain, forego the thrust of a cathedral buttresses against the shame, less reception of grace than glinting enamel. That was poem 500, Recital. Spherical music we have next. Spherical music. Music of the spheres. The title tracked, expecting quite the future, to make a mouthful pleasing to the ear, holding one blind attention, asking another, did you hear that awful noise? Shh! The pit orchestra is tuning. Skip ahead. Does it come? One honeyed cell from one mason bee? In a shaft of folly forms well-meaning poetry, unless to churn fat outward from mammary glands and sell ultra mollified to sit on bedstands. Improbable transition, that which makes a failure an accomplished mission, possibly permitting a foot wash if unmoved by Handel's Paschal greeting. It was better in Dublin. It was better in Dublin, near the charnel house doors. The popular and the populace merging with privations not twist. A double bind we'd break if the rip, crunch, or chill takes light from light's origins. And we'd really give a listen to the jingle of the spheres. A couple more short ones here. Pierced lute. Terror of the spider, that time won't be killed swiftly enough, but suspended in itsy bitsy resonance. Have it your way, an hourglass factory of wholly abandoned, measureless webs, the silence of melody rest on, drawing up our quiet. Gracelet. I cannot unenunciate, reverse the tautology, as if forward flew backward like synthetic biology. Collected presence and absence, the history of the adversary will outlive its violence. Okay, we're in December 2014, and it was quite a prolific month. We've got a bit, and we also have something that I have to read first. It's a backlog. Sometimes I get ahead of myself writing these up, and it's the third part of the film based on the best-selling book. And this one is called Joycean Novice, as in James Joyce. Mealy mouthpiece at the mercy of a patronizing publica, getting real cultural with patient nostalgia. For Christ's sake, nah, double agent tapping the secular line of man's sapped and novel blasphemies. To ice the helium, now that would be an achievement. Improving upon the Great Pyramid, liked posts by a Civil War veteran. Can you imagine? No, because like my father concluded, this all peaked with frozen pizza. From a kit of pigeons will divide the matter clearly. Authorship is a will-o-wisp if turning back shyly one prides in antiquity what's lain before the island of Penelope, where slaughter consecrated memory. Just gonna move my note here. All right, great. So that's where we'll start this coming Tuesday. So just a couple more here, a few more, three more, three more. Swear jar. Dropping coin before it spoils. Stomach lining, colon, collateral damage inside the trash heap's doggerel. Money? Word is only of value. So you tuck a lip and try to save the slip of incessant gabbing. Could yearn for thrift divining rod to split apart salt from water. Perhaps unearthed wood of purest sap. But mosquito bites appendage. We say profanity gives one character. Yeah, like weather vanes do for weather. Chomp, chomp. Chomp at the bit between your teeth. New minted right of a sun. Sour run disease. Lean on, minerals, the elemental breaths of ocean, lungs of trees, how swelling makes volumes seen. So fill that vessel up to excel at making your intention a damming of the impulse to fix a ribald jaw. Platitude, a fail-safe key written into the plot hole, where encyclosadists were displeased with the locked antithesis. We argue and argue, anguished, cotton-mouthed, agree to disagree. This is the most likely platitude. In a restless climate, sleep is all we hope to do. Burn something of value, break glass back into sand. Dissension and honor, so we gather to overturn. Go back to the beginning, where it's not violet, not blue. Easter morning comes, no angel at the tomb, no green star, no vacancy ballooned, somewhere between death and the burgeoning moon. Last one for this re-recording of the 2014 reading of Tuesdays for the Poetry is called Contemporary. Contemporary. Datum, puzzle pieces without an image on a box. Then soon we have a solid where once was gas or liquid. Monad in spite of mutation. Seeds found after what by name. Anonymous farms not anyway. Undoes only the poor sprout. Helps when help's not needed. Assembles the perfect impatience. What was a studio lot for? What is the rigmarole here? And then snap the instant for self of self's true fiction. Made it on the evening news. Well, some showed up for the feed. Waiting got that picture to incriminate the fold of lives tightly mat time now anyway. Chance you have some Leibniz kicks? Over and rot, grief is mollified in prodigal hunger. Some of these I wish you guys could see the writing, but that wouldn't be the same experience. So there we have it. This was been the re-recording for Tuesdays for the Poetry from last week, which was the last Tuesday in June, and this coming Tuesday in 2 days' time, we'll have the 2015 reading of Tuesdays for the Poetry, where I will be reading poems from 29 to the age of 30. I was so happy to end my 20s, and the 30s, now that I'm 38, have been most interesting and illuminating. So lots more poems too have been written. So we're in the 500s. We're on our way to get to the 25th year of poetry, and soon I'll have that context contest I was speaking the first couple of Tuesdays for the poetry, where I will have a contest and you could win a rare edition of my 14 years, 14 sonnets, self-published work. Okay, thanks for tuning in or watching this live recording of another Tuesdays for the Poetry. See you next Tuesday. This is your poet, Gary Dale Burns, signing off.